Hello YouTube and Twitter. If you don't know me, my name is Mariah, and of course you can probably tell by what I'm wearing what this video is going to be about. It was time for me to see the Barbie movie, and I saw it and it was awesome. It was lovely, and you know what, I'm fresh from it, so I thought I may as well make a video sharing my thoughts specifically around BarbieGnosis. That is the hashtag that I'm using to keep all of my Barbie tweets that are specifically about like Barbello and Gnosticism in the same spot. So if you're looking to contribute, or if you're just wanting to read, because I think it's just me in that tag right now, then check out BarbieGnosis on Twitter, and you'll see the tweets of just stuff that I'm just kind of shooting out there. But I wanted to make a video kind of keeping it all in one spot. And you know, I wasn't the first person to point this out. I'm definitely not going to be, because I think it's a pretty obvious reference of Barbie as Barbello from the Gnostic texts and Gnostic traditions. If you've never heard of Barbello before, it's in the Nag Hammadi codices. So I would just like to read you the little blurb that has her name in it. I know that it is elsewhere as well, and in certain texts, you know, instead of saying the Aeon Sophia, they say the Aeon Barbello, and it's kind of used interchangeably a little bit, but I did want to just kind of, you know, put the text out there, because I talk about the Nag Hammadi codices a lot, but you know, this is actually from it. So this is from the Apocryphon of John. You can find this stuff, I'll link it in my description, but you can find it at gnosis.org. Like, you can literally Google the whatever. You can literally just Google gnosis.org or just look up gnosis.org. And it has all of the texts in various translations, which I find very lovely. So I'm reading it on my computer here. So it's not at the beginning of the text, but you can just search up Barbello and you'll find the part that I'm talking about. She is the initial power, glory of Barbello, glorious among the realms, glory of revelation. She gave glory to the Virgin Spirit. She praised him, for she arose from him. This, the first thought, is the Spirit's image. She is the universal womb. She is before everything. She is Mother, Father, First Man, Holy Spirit. Thrice male, thrice powerful, thrice named. Androgynous eternal realm, first to arise among the invisible realms. She, Barbello, asked the Virgin Spirit for foreknowledge, prognosis. The Spirit agreed. Foreknowledge came forth and stood by providence. This one came through the invisible Virgin Spirit's thought. Foreknowledge gave glory to the Spirit and to Barbello, the Spirit's perfect power, for she was the reason it had come into being. And there's also, you know, there's a little bit more of Barbello in this book, but I just want to jump over as well to the Thunder Perfect Mind. If you have never read this before, it is beautiful. It is a lovely text that is pretty old, you know, to be so seemingly relevant. And I know that Gnosis on Twitter pointed out that Prada uses this for one of their ads, you know, and I find that's kind of the biggest thing about Hollywood, is they just throw Gnostic stuff in and around. And so to me, that, I mean, you can either take it one way as, you know, everything that Hollywood puts out is a lie, and then that means that this is a lie. Okay, fine, whatever. Or you can say that they're so familiar with it that they just throw it in there, and they know that most people aren't gonna know the real significance of it. So this is in the Thunder Perfect Mind, and the narrative voice of that text is female, and most people identify it as Barbello or the Aeon Sophia. And in this she says, "Why have you hated me in your councils? For I shall be silent among those who are silent, and I shall appear and speak. Why then have you hated me, your Greeks? Because I am a barbarian among the barbarians? For I am the wisdom of the Greeks and the knowledge of the barbarians. I am the judgment of the Greeks and of the barbarians. I am the one whose image is great in Egypt, and I am the one who has no image among the barbarians. I am the one who has been hated everywhere, and loved everywhere. I am the one who they called life. I am the one who you have called death. I am the one who they call law, and you have called lawlessness. I am the one you have pursued, and I am the one whom you have seized. I am the one who you have scattered, and you have gathered me together. I am the one before whom you have been ashamed, and you who have been shameless to me. I am she who does not keep festival, and I am she whose festivals are many. So I just wanted to share those little bits of text, because if you have just seen the movie like me, like even now reading it, I'm like, I love the way that Greta Gerwig is a storyteller and specifically told this story. And I know that she wrote it with her husband, and I think that that was really powerful to have not only her female point of view, but also his as well in making it kind of come together. And that was, that was the movie in a nutshell. Was the, you hear people now and they're saying that it was anti-men and anything like that. And, I went and I saw it with my boyfriend, and the first thing that he said when he walked out was, if people think, or if men are angry at this, then, they've got a problem. Like it wasn't anti-men at all, even in the slightest. The basis of, even if you don't look at the Gnostic, bones of the story, then you can still see that there is a positive message of really just being yourself, and whether that means you're a woman, a Barbie, or a man, a Ken, then finding who you are in your own identity aside from everybody else, that's what makes you enough. And I think that is just a beautiful message regardless. But there were Gnostic themes throughout the entire movie. And, right off the bat, of course, we have Barbie as Barbello. And like I said, I'm not the first person to point that out. I think it's a pretty obvious connection. And we can identify Barbello as Sophia, or as the mother creative goddess that comes from the pleroma. And in the Gnostic, or in the version that I subscribe to, the Sophianic Gnostic story, myth, if you want to call it, it starts off with Sophia, Barbello, Barbie, living in the pleroma, living in her own realm that is not ours. That's where the story starts in the Gnostic text, and that is also where the story starts in the Barbie movie. It starts off in this kind of other realm that is not human, it's not material, it's not entirely real. In the movie it's called Barbie Land, and in the Gnostic text this is a pleroma. And specifically in Sophianic Gnosticism, we can identify the pleroma as the galactic core of our galaxy. So there is a location for this, and it is, beyond a certain membrane. And they said membrane in the movie, which I just thought was so cool. Okay, spoilers. Don't watch this if you don't like spoilers. I know for me, spoilers aren't really a big deal. I don't really mind knowing. I don't know, they don't bother me, but I know they really do bother some people. So don't watch this if you haven't seen it, if you don't like spoilers. But the premise of the movie is Barbie has a connection with her owner, her human owner, the person that's playing with the doll, who's America Ferrera, in the real world. And as soon as America Ferrera starts drawing pictures of Barbie being depressed or having existential thoughts, etc., this is what impacts Barbie in Barbie Land. It's that, like, there is a psychic connection between Barbie living in Barbie Land, the toy, and the woman who is imagining her, who is thinking of, scenarios for her. There is a real material psychic connection between the two. And that is what creates Barbie in Barbie Land to start to question her life and start to, that's the whole plot of the movie, is she starts to think, okay, what is beyond? She doesn't really want to know what's beyond Barbie Land, but she is thrown into it anyways. And it's because of that connection, which I just thought, even that in and of itself, I thought was a really cool message, in that especially as women, we have this intuitive psychic connection, not only with each other, but with Sophia, with the goddess who is everything to us. And, you know, we can really connect with her in a real way. And she can connect with us. And I thought that was really cool in the movie because Barbie, was having visions and like psychic connections of the woman who was having an emotional connection with her. And it was like when America Ferrera had those connections with her, it made it a two-way street. And I say this all the time in my videos, is that when you recognize Sophia, Gaia Sophia, Barbello, Magna Mater, the great goddess, great mother, whatever you want to call her, you're on her radar, and it opens up the radio station basically, and she connects with you. She starts to have your vision. She starts to have your, well, she always has your vision, always has your awareness, but it's like a little dilly, like, hello, like, come intervene, come into my life in a really meaningful and way that you can't deny. And that's what was happening in the movie. And I just thought, that was something that I caught right away. And I was like, this movie is beautiful. It's just about girlhood, really. But the inherent mysticism of being a girl was really captured by Greta Gerwig, and I really love that. So Barbie is compelled to go to the real world from her Barbie land. And if you've seen any of my videos before talking about the Sophianic descent, the fall of the goddess, the Sophianic creation story, then you know that Sophia was compelled, the Aeon Sophia Barbello, I got the hiccups, was compelled by her desire to help humanity. And that is what caused her to fall out of the pleroma into the kenoma, which is our material realm, which is the world in the movie that Ken just thought was like so cool because it was, all full of patriarchy and men ruled the world. And I thought that even the name Ken and the kenoma is an obvious Gnostic connection as well, that I thought was really cool right off the bat, because in the Gnostic text, Sophia falls into the kenoma, and her adventure ensues and goes from there. And in the movie, Barbie ends up in the material world, LA, right? And she runs into, she gets captured. Actually, she gets captured by the Mattel CEO. And in this, the obvious crossover into the Gnostic story is the Demiurge. Unfortunately, the Mattel CEO is alive and well, and from my point of view, he was the Demiurge in the story, which was played by Will Ferrell, and I just thought that was really funny, because in the movie right away they tell Barbie, they suddenly, whatever happens, and Barbie ends up in the CEO boardroom and is like, oh my god, you gotta help me, I don't know what I'm doing here, everything is crazy, but thankfully you're here and you can help me. And in the Gnostic creation story, we learn that as Sophia is falling through space, falling through the kenoma, she gets captured by the Demiurge that she accidentally created. And in a way, Barbie, made the Mattel CEO, really rich and famous, just by nature of who she is. And so Barbie is in the CEO's room. The Mattel CEO Demiurge is there, and he has all his CEOs, and the CEOs were obviously the archons. And it was just such a funny portrayal because the CEO of Mattel was just a bumbling idiot, and so were his CEOs. They would literally run into each other, and it was in the Gnostic text, the Demiurge and the archons are described as blind and stupid and ignorant, and it really came across obviously very comical, but that translated directly into the movie. They had no real intelligence. They just knew that they had to put Barbie back into her box, and they almost got her back into the box. And in the Gnostic storyline, when Sophia is falling through space and she gets captured by the Demiurge and the archons, in the Gnostic story, that is Saturn and the rest of the planets of our solar system. And Earth and the moon and the sun get trapped by their system. It's not a real system. It's, there's no life on these other planets because they were made by the Demiurge and the archons, who captured Sophia as the planet Earth. And I think that Sophianic interpretation of the Gnostic story is really missing. It's not, you can find little bits and pieces of it. And obviously John Lamb-Lash, I talk about all the time, is the guy who has put all of this together in a very succinct way in his book, Not in His Image. He cites a ton of sources. And it really adds another layer when you understand that aspect of Sophianic Gnosticism, is that the archons are the 7 planets around us. And, in the movie, Barbie, Earth, Sophia is, she doesn't really get caught by them in the movie, but there is an attempt to capture her, to put her back in her box, to say, what, this never happened, we're going to keep going and ruling in the way that we know how, in the patriarchy, and everything will be fine. Right? But obviously that doesn't happen, and she runs through a maze and gets away from them, and she is saved by America. And I was gonna look this up, but I'm pretty sure, I honestly, I don't even remember her name in the movie. I just kept seeing her, and I just keep thinking in my head her real name, because I think that the etymology of America has to do with Mary. Don't quote me, but Mary is in that, and that, of course, is another goddess reference right there. So she is saved by America and her daughter. Barbie just gets in the car, and they're the ones who keep her safe and harbor her and allow her to kind of catch her breath. And she starts to feel all these emotions, and she starts crying and really, feeling real material emotions. And this is something, again, that's described in I don't want to say Gnostic text, because it's in text against the Gnostics where they describe what the Gnostics believed, but from Irenaeus, and he straight up says that the crazy Gnostics, the heretics, believed that the mother Sophia created the mountains with her joy, and the salt oceans with her tears, and the lakes with her sweat. There really is this emotional aspect to the creation of the goddess that you start to see come through in Barbie when she is in the Canoma, in the real world, and she can't get rid of it. She can't shake it. I do have notes. I'm literally not following. Yeah, so there really is this true crossover of worlds that I think was really cool, because I didn't even mention this, she gets to the real world and back to Barbie Land via portals. What? Portals. Literally portals. Literally, they call it Barbie crossing the membrane. And, this is a pleromic reference. The membrane, to do what she needs to do and help humans, and in turn help herself and come back. And this was done via a portal. And I do think it's worth mentioning, I know this is totally anecdotal and to me, and I would like to just mention it in case anybody else can relate, but I have some lucid dreams sometimes. I don't really control them because I don't really do it intentionally. I have before, but they just happen every so often, so I just kind of let them happen. And I've had several lucid dreams where I am pointed to a circle on the wall and it's a portal and I end up somewhere else on the other side of it. And I remember, you know, a couple of them, you know, I'm usually with my boyfriend Ruben for some reason. I think I had one lucid dream, and I don't know if I've experienced portals in it before, I can't remember, but I remember one very vividly where Ruben was in beside a portal on the wall, and it was like kind of this big, and he was like, go, like, you have to trust me, it'll be fine, go through it. And I was like, okay, I'm only going through it because I trust you. And obviously everything was fine. And you know, there was another one where I remember what it looked like within the portal as I was traveling. It just like, it was really cool. And it was like I entered, and then suddenly around me was just like a vortex of this new location. It was really cool. But I do believe that portals are real, whether it be just in the dreamscape. And I think that that is real enough, because if you see my other videos, I do talk about Sophia's falling into the Kenoma and becoming planet Earth as a dream, as her dream body making this happen, which in turn means that we are in her lucid dream. So when I have lucid dreams about portals, it makes me think, okay, where are the portals in the waking dream, in the dream of the goddess that we live, the goddess that's dreaming us alive? So I thought it was funny because they kept mentioning portals all the time. Like they were like, oh yep, it's just a portal, right? And you just gotta cross the membrane. So crazy. And even, you know, even when Barbie was leaving the Barbie land, she points up. She points directly to Barbie land when she does this in the shot. And there's a lot of, I don't want to say ancient, but like old paintings of John the Baptist, of Mary Magdalene, of Jesus pointing up. And, you know, if you were to ask a Christian, they would probably say this is pointing to heaven. To me, this is pointing to the pleroma. And when somebody says, this is where I'm from the pleroma with intention, that is the antidote to dispel the archons. And there was even a level of that in the movie of being like, now I know who I am. And that makes me unafraid, and I'm enough, right? I'm enough just as I am. And that really is the Gnostic message, is that humans created as we were are enough to create, to be powerful, to do whatever we need to do. And most especially when we are in the relationship that we need to be in this scenario, which is with our planet, because she is the goddess who created us and became our setting. And, you know, and she really is everything. So when you see that tagline in the marketing, Barbie is everything, you know, I want you to think like Barbello is everything, Sophia is everything, Gaia Sophia is everything that we experience. And she shows up as a woman. She has the form of a woman, which is why the body of a woman, the figure of a woman, the face of a woman, just a woman in general, is so freaking powerful. And that's why that darn Will Ferrell wanted to put Barbie back in the box, because he knew that she was way too much. And that, I just saw that, like when I saw that part of, they were like, Barbie, get back in the box. And they tried restraining her. I was like, whoa, like this is like Gnostic playbook. I saw somebody tweet that they weren't expecting Barbie to be a Gnostic gospel, and it was. Yeah, it is. Yeah, so the whole solution is that Barbie as a woman and Ken as a man are enough exactly as they are, as who they are, alone, not identifying themselves as being the other half of somebody else, but just as Barbie, as Ken, you know? And I think the message there is when we let ourselves be who we are, that is incredibly powerful alone. And, you know, if you were to look at a more occulted meaning of this, I would say when you let the, well, especially as a woman, when you let the Barbello or the Sophia express within you, and as a man, when you let your, there's not really the same kind of word for it. If you want to call it Christ, you can. But when you let the goddess tell you that you are enough, like, it's basically like women have to understand that we are the goddess and we know it, and that makes us enough. And men have to find the goddess, see who she is, identify her, and hear from her that he is enough as he is. You know, men are always wanting the attention of women, and that's the whole, like, huge theme in the movie is Ryan Gosling needing the gaze of Margot Robbie all the time. It's actually so cute and funny. But, you know, at the end, she's like, listen, you know, thank you, and I'm sorry for not recognizing you, and you need to recognize who you are. And it's almost like that message has to come from Sophia for a man to really understand it. And I think that is also a layer of the Osiris, Isis, and Horus story, where Osiris is dismembered and is put together again by Isis and is reborn as Horus, the, you know, illuminated child who is us, right? And but he needed to be put together back together sorry, by the goddess. And, you know, and Isis is that as well. She's recognized as the Great Mother. And, you know, and at the end of the movie, which was just lovely, I think most people could agree on that, that it was a really beautiful message. But there's even a part where Barbie is with this grandmother figure who you can, you know, in that scene, it really is Barbello and Sophia, this, you know, grandmother of life, the mother who created Barbie in the first place. There's this really beautiful scene where she reaches out to Barbie and kind of gives her these feelings, these emotions of being a woman, and you notice that Barbie takes a breath, and that transference is, you know, the breath of life. And the breath of life is the breath of emotions and of feeling and being alive and being material. And, you know, and that really is the story of Sophia. That's the story of her coming down, being confused, being lost, being trapped, and being set free by the touch of the, you know, the powers beyond, the creator. You know, she's called in the movie the creator, which is just so cool. And so I do, you know, I see the layer of Barbello as Sophia for sure. And then I also see, you know, the actual Gnostic storyline of Sophia sending Barbello, and Sophia as the creator sending Barbello, and then eventually Sophia giving Barbello life, emotions, as a woman in the body of a woman. And I think that is why so many men are triggered because, and honestly, like, if you're a guy and you don't want to see it, then don't see it. Like, who cares? You know, it's not really for you. It's basically for girls that like Barbie and can bring their boyfriends. And, you know, and my boyfriend had a great time. He was cracking up. He was laughing the loudest in the whole theater, and he was having a good time, you know, and it was a good movie for everybody. But there really is this underpinning of the story of the goddess coming back and being psychically connected with women. And I just thought that the psychic connection, the portals, the membrane, the demiurge, you know, all those things can be identified. The creator, the breath of life, the emotions, and the support of Ken. Like, there really is this, it's not that Ken is nobody, but there is kind of some meaning behind Ken needing the validation or the gaze of Barbie to feel like he's real, like to feel like he's worth anything. And, you know, of course, I believe that men are innately worthy of life, obviously, but there really is that, you know, that kind of underpinning of men doing things to get the attention of women, and you know, they have more emotions than they let on. And, you know, I thought it was a beautiful movie, of course, but I really love the idea that these stories are being, you know, kind of trickled in, implanted about the importance of being a woman and being a girly girl if you want to, or being a physicist if you want to, or whatever, because that is the gift that Sophia gave us when she fell, when she became intrinsically intertwined with her creation humans, when she became our planet where we live, and she showed up in the body of a woman, and she still shows up in the body of the woman, and you can find her in your body, as especially as a woman. She is so with you, you probably don't even recognize it, and if you do, I love it. and I find with most people, when I say like this is how you find her, they're like, oh, I knew that the whole time, like I just didn't really identify it. And I think that is the most beautiful thing, is that she is so present, and she is that psychic connection. She is that inner voice, that connection to knowing that there really is a lot of beauty in just being entirely who you are, and that is powerful enough. And she really is everything. Every woman is everything. And, you know, that's in one of the opening scenes where they just say like, yeah, she's in every woman, she's in every body. Yeah. And that really is the Sophianic Gnostic message. I don't know so much about just Gnostic message, because most people, sorry, I gotta itch my nose. Because most people identify Gnosticism with Christianity, and I don't. I identify it as a Sophianic kind of thing, where I recognize the goddess Sophia as the aeon who created us and the human genome, and then anomaly after anomaly happened, which is why we have so many movies about it. And she became our, oh, my cat's looking at me, it's funny. And she became our planet Earth, and she showed up here in the body of a woman, and she can still be contacted as that. And that's, you know, a lot of mystery school teachings is the training of the mind in trance and with psychedelics to, oh, he's long blinking, to see her and to access her mind. And I don't think it's necessary to do all that stuff. I really don't, because I believe that she is so close, like inside, outside, everywhere. And I love when stories like this identify it, and they start to plant the little seeds of awareness that I believe blossom and bloom. And one time, not that long ago, I was privileged enough to have a conversation with John Lamlash, and he mentioned to me that we teach people so she can reach people. And I think about that all the time, because it really isn't on anybody, one person's shoulders to spread the message of the goddess Sophia enlivening this planet as Gaia Sophia. Our only responsibility is to share her story, and I love that. I love sharing her story. I think it's a unique story, which we don't have all the time. And I love sharing her story, especially because it shows up in pop culture. So when you start to know her story as the backbone, as, you know, the foundation for everything, and you start to see, oh yeah, that actually fits. That all kind of fits into this story. You know, either Hollywood is, like I said before, just trying to totally distort it, which from this movie I don't believe. because I saw it and I didn't really get that at all. But you know, we do have movies like The Matrix where there is that distortion of the Gnostic story where they're pushing the version of it that makes you feel like you don't have any say and that you're just living in a machine and that the archons are in control. That's not true. You know, in the Barbie, I thought the depiction of the Demiurge and the archons was quite accurate. It's, you know, they're there and they're making decisions by themselves and, you know, giving each other, you know, what they need. But they are just kind of bumbling idiots, just bouncing into each other and trying to take down the goddess, but they know that it's impossible. They really can't. They really can't do anything other than try to put her back in the box, but all she has to do is be like, no, and run away, which she has done. And it is our responsibility as Sophianic Gnostics, as people who love Gaia Sophia, to keep sharing the story and to keep implanting the recognition of her, so that when people see a movie like this, they go, oh, you know, maybe there is something more to the story. Or people see this movie and then later find the story of Sophia and they go, oh, you know what, that actually makes sense. Because as humans, can't deny it, we need stories, we need myths, we need, I mean, look at the movie industry. It's the most, I mean, you've got the strike right now, but it's one of the most popular industries and lucrative industries there really is in Hollywood. And I know that there's a really dark side to Hollywood. I understand that, but just the whole nature of humans being so attracted to stories and storytelling, and the fact that actors get paid so much to do that is, you know, proof right there in that we kind of need these stories to guide our species. So when you get really pop culture references like this, it is kind of a trigger. And, you know, I don't question the goddess. I know that she does things that may not make sense to me, but are working on a grander scale. And I often find that later it was actually quite clever. And I know that this is one of those cases where this story of Barbello is being shared again in a lovely way, written by a woman, directed by a woman. And of course she did do this with her husband, which is beautiful. I think such a lovely thing to do. And yeah, it was amazing. And I think it was really chock full of Gnostic messages. And I'm sure I missed some because I didn't bring a notepad with me. But, you know, I might go see it again and I might do it. And if I don't, you know, go see it in theater again, I definitely will see it at home and take notes, because it was very Gnostic. And I would love to know if you saw anything else in the movie that was Gnostic that you would like to point out. Let me know, comment it. You can tweet it at me for sure, because I would love to know. I'd love to chat about this. I really want to keep this hashtag going of just like kind of picking it apart and, you know, maybe even finding more Gnostic references to the actual Barbie line over the years. Like, I have no idea. But I do think that it is quite a coincidence that a Barbie story, Barbello, would have so many Gnostic references, clear Gnostic references throughout the whole movie. And I just, you know what? Snaps for Greta for that. It was fabulous. I loved it. And I will talk to you guys later. Maybe I'll do a part 2 if I find out more comes to me. I definitely will, but I think it's pretty good for now. Talk to you later. Bye.